Alright, today I am going to go over the top 10 heroes before level 180 in AFK Arena. These are all heroes I've used myself when I do reroll, and for those of you that don't know, a reroll is where you just make a new account just to see what your first guaranteed epic is, and I will make a video on that and how to rush through that as fast as possible guaranteed so that you do get your epic immediately, pretty much. I'd say give it about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20. Anyway, these are the heroes I've used before level 180, not my level 180 obviously, but before the heroes level, to progress as fast as possible, as smooth as possible in campaign, tower, all of that stuff. So, couple things to note before we go into the list. Again, like I mentioned, it's pre-level 180. This list is assuming you don't get any mythic heroes, so let's say all legendary plus, mostly PvE. I wouldn't say PvP, this is like a good tier list. Most heroes can do a lot if they're just over leveled to begin with, even if they're lower tier. And again, this is what I've noticed myself works best and as quickly as possible, and I'll mention what heroes are good with anyone in the list to kind of accommodate. So to get started on the list, we're gonna go, and this is in no specific order, this is just the best that I've noticed. I'm gonna start with down here. We have a couple here in the only legendary tier. So we have Sarris, which is incredibly strong. He self-heals. He does a ton of single target damage. All of his important skills are learned pretty early too. And I'll mention like certain thresholds that these heroes need in order to become very powerful, right? So I'll go more into detail with that in a little bit. But right off the bat, level 11 plus Sarris is already a monster if you get him pretty early, which since he's not so rare, you know, a legendary plus, he can come in as a rare. Since he's not as hard to get, it's a good base to depend on, I guess. Just solid damage, heals itself, he's just solid. There's nothing more to say. Incredible single target DPS. Next up is definitely Muriel. This is kind of the one that, when I first started, I invested everything into Muriel because I noticed if you put Muriel right in the back center, right here, her ult covers everything in front of her, from Belinda's head all the way down to Nemora's feet. The only issue is, if they are behind you, they don't take damage. So if someone pops up behind you and turns Muriel around, then your ult is kind of useless because it's just going to hit one enemy until, of course, you turn around. Okay, now with Muriel, Rosaline is very good. Rosaline being the maid, the light bearer maid, this one, because not only does she boost Muriel's damage, but her ult gives Muriel a whole meter or a bar, which is her energy bar. So she gets the ult again. So if you have it on auto ult, Muriel will ult from the middle, hit mostly every enemy, if not all, and then Rosaline ults, which means Muriel can ult right away. And on top of that, depending on what level Rosaline is, it'll be stronger and stronger, the second ult. Going back to Muriel real quick, so strong damage all around, not just her ult, but the triple fireball is really strong. The shield's really strong, especially when it starts damaging your enemies. I believe this is the last skill you learn, if it's not the triple ball. A huge power spike I'm gonna mention for Muriel is level 121, where her ult right here gets a boost of a total of 50% and then multiplies by 2 if the enemies are in the center, which is incredible. So next up, we're gonna go up to the Ascendant. We're gonna go with Taylene. She's an incredible healer, does some serious damage once she ults because she then becomes a stronger attacker, just from how she is, but she does sacrifice a lot of her health. No worry, she doesn't really die until the rest of your team dies. If she were to die, if Taylene were to die, and you still have another teammate, she'll recover 7% of her health. She can't be hit at all, and when she reaches her 50% mark, HP mark, she revives, and then she does a little bit of damage, you know. However, after that, every time she ults, her recovery rate is reduced. So I'd say significantly, 1/5, 20%. That's a decent amount. Her meteor shower does some solid damage, good numbers, pretty quickly too, 0.5 seconds upon enemy targets. This one's pretty solid too. So this passive makes it to where her 2 weakest allies, and I'm pretty sure it means weakest in the sense of HP, the lowest HP allies, they'll recover 150% of Taylene's attack rating each time Taylene loses 10% health. That's pretty solid. Next up, Mahir is a pretty solid pre-level 180 hero. She's the one that carried me in the really hard stages, again with Rosaline, because she would lock the enemy team down and charm them to attack each other. So all I really had was Rowan, Rosaline, and Mahir. The rest didn't matter. Sometimes I'd go Leica to you know, speed it up a little bit. Anyway, her ult is I would say single-handedly, is the biggest attribute to her. The amount of CC she provides with just this alone, like, is bonkers. So at max level, which you won't reach max level before 180, obviously, it ults the enemy team for 4 seconds. defense. And this is basically the whole stage. I think she has to hit you actually. Like it's kind of like Muriel's ult, where it's just a little plane in front of you. It's not little, it's big. The same range is what I'm gonna say. So I would usually put her in the back, like swap her off for Muriel, and then swap Muriel off for her, and then usually they would just trade off to carry me through campaign. This is a really good one. The next one is her whip. Her whip makes her the monster. So if you whip Rosaline, for example, or your Rowan or both, you get to do everything so much faster. Your ults come up faster, which in turn means you do more damage, and you're almost guaranteed to clear the stage. If it all works in tandem quickly and there's no risk of anything. Another thing that makes her incredible is this skill right here, Hell Spawn. It spawns 3 little bats that just go into your opponents. They latch onto someone. You take a bunch of your HP away. However, anytime you were to die or are going to die, you take back one of those bats and you heal for a good chunk of your HP. And I think you can do, yeah, you can do it all 3 times. And there's a little, you'll see it above her head, the 3 eyes, the 3 bats. Yeah, if you have one of those, you won't die. The infatuation is just pretty cool. Just like single target, like interactions are really dope. The 3% leech of the enemy's current health to restore her own is pretty cool. But everything else, all of her other skills, her stats, the fact that she's a hypogean, whatever, she gets the faction bonus, 30% defense. That's huge. That could be the difference between you clearing a stage and not clearing. Next up, we're going to go to the Graveborn's Shamira. She is known to carry after 160. As I had Muriel, I was building up a Shamira, got her to Mythic finally, got to like level 180 or something, and then I just switched her off. I switched off Muriel for Shamira, and ever since then, I've been able to literally speed through chapters. Like I think I cleared 3 chapters in a day because I had a solid comp. I had a legendary plus Rosaline, Rowan, Lucius, Shamira, and I forget who else I had. I forget my last one. Anyway, her ult is a FMA, a full map attack that attacks everyone consistently. At a certain point, she eventually heals up for all the damage she did, which usually means just a full bar of HP. Gets all of it back. You know, the end game, this isn't really that great end game, but early game, mid game, this is going to carry you. Little things like her silence is really strong, prevents him from using any skills for several seconds, doesn't say how long. Leeches, this is a really good skill that lets her tank. Really, really good for tanking because she'll just heal up, put her in the front line, she'll heal off someone. This one's pretty cool. She deals more damage with the more HP she has, up to 30% if she gets full HP. If you reach this one right here, this is going to definitely help because her crit chance is nuts with this. Again, oh, she's really good with Rosaline too because she'll just wipe. When I tell you she wipes the map, I mean she wipes the map. It literally clears out everyone. Only issue would probably be like Brutus or something because he has like a 6 to 8 second invulnerability. So there's that. Shamira, definitely top 10 before level 180. Wukong's up next. This skill right here is one of the strongest hitting attacks early game. It does a ton of damage. His ult makes clones of himself that do a little bit less damage, which is fine. They have less HP and they take more damage, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. The fact that he makes clones and makes your opponent single target heroes target different things besides the main hero himself means he can survive longer. Your opponents will waste their ults on nothing. Wukong, crazy damage, great tank, one of the best tanks. Another factor, it's not that big, but the fact that he's a Celestial means he complements any comp, as long as you have 2 others of the same type, or another Celestial, and then you get the idea. We're going to go back down to legendaries for this one. Arden, even, look, so this is a touchy one. So Arden only really has one use, and it's this skill right here, Entangling Roots. He roots up to 3 enemies. At level 141 is when you unlock the 3 target. I've seen people literally have a legendary plus Arden, like their main comp is either Mythic plus, which isn't that far, but like Ascended 2-star, 3-star. Just because if you put Leica, which is this one right here, if you put Leica with, I think it is this one, where you haste your team, meaning they move faster, with Arden, and Arden gets off that 3 enemy snare, that trap, that alone can give you enough time to activate your other ult. If you do it fast enough, I think it prevents Fox from taking one of your champions, and Fox is this guy right here. It prevents a lot of things actually, but Arden is solid. Literally only for this. Like, you know, you give him items to survive a little bit better, a little bit longer, but these are okay, I guess. Another one that's pretty good, we're going to go back up to the Ascended tier. Sarris, a fairly new hero. I've preached about Sarris so much. His single target DPS is barred. There's no comparison. He just whoops everyone's ass. His ultimate, you know, just all of these. If you ever get a chance, just go through all of these. I'll pull them up one by one to kind of just let you read them, pause it, whatever. So his single target damage is out of this world. His ult makes several copies of himself. They deal slightly less damage. Eventually, they get really good shields. Or actually, well, him himself gets a ton of really strong and viable shields. Just mitigates 700% of the damage he receives, which is so it makes him tanky off that. If he's over leveled, he can single target and kill anyone. He can quite literally ult, attack one person, dead. Go to the next person, attack, dead. Usually 1 to 2 hits. So War Strike, he uses his spear. This is little like stab attack. This one does a ton of damage. All these skills just they're so useful, and they're his kit, which means his skills together in uniform. They work just incredibly well. So the reason he does all of this damage is because he ults have several forms of himself, right? Cast either one of these skills, although I think he cast this one first. If he uses this uninterrupted, he can use this. So let's just clean the slate. That's the first skill. Unlocks the second. He's literally one-hitting these things, although this isn't really a good example because they just try to sell you the hero and try to showcase the skills. You can, I mean, do I have to show you more? He does his damage. Take my word for it. Take the community's word for it. He's very solid. Maybe some people will disagree with the level 1 before level 180 being that strong, but I've done it on this account and it works well. I had these two at their current state, Ronin, Namora, Mythic, and Ascendant, and he was Epic Plus, and he was still wiping the stage, clearing all of them just so effortlessly. It's impressive, honestly. That is my top 10. I think I have a pretty decent list. I think maybe 2 of my 10 could be argued against and swapped out with other characters. A lot of these are either Celestial or Hypogean, whatever you want to call it. Those are a little bit harder to get, but if you manage to get them, then there you go. I got my hero, I think it's chapter 4 or something. I don't remember, but it was really early. Honorable mentions, I will say Sophia, which has, if you're a dedicated Sophia player, you're ahead of the curve, I think. Sophia's ult busted. She charges it for a couple seconds and then does 660 damage. Now this list is for pre-180, so you'll probably go to 600. Still 600 damage, and even before that, 540 damage. That's so busted. A bunch of heroes that pull your enemies. So for example, Athalia knocks, I'll show you, knocks the enemy up and then kicks him usually over here, closer to you. You have Eron, which is actually my next honorable mention, where he does that skill, and if you put him in the back center, he pulls the one right here, this enemy, and the one right here, so it pulls 3. And he just does a ton of damage. His ult does incredible damage. Anyway, if you tag along Sophia with Aaron, he can pull in all 3. Sophia ults, charges, hits everyone. Usually, it's a pretty big AoE. So that's my list. If you have any comments, questions, arguments, anything at all, comment down below. If you have any ideas for future videos or any content you would like to see, more summoning videos, any of that, let me know. I'll get to it. I'll do my research before I make any videos, just so I don't look like a complete idiot. You know, I want to stay a little bit educated at least. I'll do my research. I'll make the videos. I don't mind. I actually like it. I have a lot of fun with this. So let me know what you guys want to see.